All right, guys, we're hanging out at this edition of the Lowcountry Porchcast, hanging out with Amber Kuehn of, I'm just going to say, of Bluffton. I'm not even going to go into like all the different things that you do in this ecology is kind of the way I think about it with you. And we hadn't had a chance to sit down and talk, but I feel like our sort of environmental paths have crossed just because I've been in this area for over 3 decades, and you were effectively born, maybe not technically born, but effectively born and raised here in Bluffton,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Just
Right down the river,
right down
that
the
way.
river.
Yeah.
That's I think the way that you cover this area, we were just talking before we went live on this about how you cover the coastline. Okay, you cover the beaches, and we'll talk about that in a second. But then everything sort of west of the island out here all the way out into Bluffton. Just occurs to me that you really are probably among the most educated and experienced of people that know about what's going on, especially in the waterways and what's coming in and out of the waterways, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a combination of having experience since I was little. Now, I know it's all here, but I didn't know why. I didn't know how it connected. And going to grad school helped to learn those methods of connecting the dots. And then sharing it with others has been really rewarding because a lot of people have moved here in a short amount of time and they're not familiar with this. They don't know why the water is green. They don't know that there are sea turtles nesting on Hilton Head.
Right.
And they've moved here without even really learning that that is available, that it's offered. They just like the climate.
It's so beautiful, right? And they look around, but they don't know what's going on kind of in the...
And there is a lot going on. And there's a lot to be said for experience. Like you can go to school and you can get the education and you can do all that, but it takes a lot of years to see it all and then be able to use those experiences to explain to other people what it's about. So
I was looking at your bio since you grew up here and you grew up on the May River, and you talked about how you learned how to drive your own motorboat at age 12 or something like that.
you could do that back in the day.
Right.
No one's paying attention.
Right. It's like the kids are just gone. Just go enjoy the river. What were those early days like? That was a while back. I'm not putting an age on you, but like that's a while back. What were those early days like?
A long time ago. They were very long days.
Because you were just gone on the water all the time?
Well, when you're a kid, it's just so boring. Everything's boring, you know? I mean, even you go to the inner tubing and go to the sandbar and you swim around, you jump off the dock and you get back on. And you know, that can only last you for so many hours. And then it's the rest of the day. And now you just were waiting to be fed and you're just waiting. And so the days go forever. And now I blink and it's gone. I'm like, I do not have time to do all the stuff I want to do.
Right. You wish you had that time. So you talk about being fed. Do you fish? Did you fish back then? Were you crabbing and getting shrimp and oysters and all
My
that?
whole family does that. My dad is an avid fisherman, and I think that's the reason I hate fishing.
Okay.
Is because I did it wrong, and I got chastised for it. But I love throwing my cast net. Yeah, I love throwing my cast net and going crabbing, and we did all of that.
Yeah.
And we fed dolphins because that wasn't illegal.
Okay.
92.
We all kind of learn, right?
Well, I fed them fish, and the reason that you can't feed them now is not because of, that was because people were feeding them things they shouldn't, and dolphins will eat anything you give them.
But the thought on that is that if you feed them, then they rely on you feeding them. Is that really?
That's not the reason the law is passed.
Okay.
There was a dolphin die-off in 85, I think, and they changed the law because dolphins are mammals. They don't drink salt water. They have to get fresh water. The only way they can do that is to eat a fish.
Oh.
Because fish drink salt water, excrete salt, and inside a fish is fresh water. But if they're filling up on Twinkies and bologna sandwiches and Cheetos and things that tourists feed them from a boat or freeze-dried squid, they're not going to get that hydration.
Right. So first lesson,
Hydration.
don't feed the dolphin.
Just don't feed it. It's a long explanation about dehydration. Just don't feed it.
But wasn't that always the method? I know that, in the time that I've been here, it was always like you would tap the hole, right, and the dolphin would come up. Was that sort of the modality back then? Was that was what they would hear so that they'd come over and you'd get to see them. And
oh, yeah, they're lazy. They want a treat. Yeah. Yep.
How do you get them to come to the boats now?
Well, they hear your engine. They know every boat out here, what their intention is. They can bring their eye above the water. They can see your boat, recognize your face. They're way smarter than people give them credit for.
Right.
It's not just the tapping. They heard you coming. If you go to the entrance of Broad Creek on Hilton Head, they're waiting for the fishing vessels to come back.
Because they know there's the chance of getting something because you said they're lazy.
So the dolphins are the top of that food chain, and they're the ones that all the people want to see on my tour boat. But I want to talk about marsh grass and mud and why it's important and what do the fiddler crabs do, why the water's green, tide, why do we have a floating dock? People get off my boat and they say, everybody, the dock is moving. Don't get out of your seat. I'm like, it has to move.
All right, pause. Lesson number 2. Why is the water green?
Oh, it has to do with microscopic content in the water and refraction.
Okay.
And it takes a minute for me to explain that, but you never see Roy G. Bibb water that is red, orange, or yellow, but you do see green, blue, indigo, and violet.
Okay. So the simple answer is there's nutrients and life in the water.
The water is crystal clear.
Right.
It is. You dip a cup in there and bring it up. It is crystal clear. Your eye's giving you a false impression of green because green is the first wavelength that enters water. And in our water, it can't pass this far because there's so many larval crabs, larval fish, larval shrimp, larval oysters that they block the light. So beyond that, it's dark. It's dark water.
Right.
With a green refraction.
Does it change in seasons? Does it get a little bit more?
Yeah. So when the water drops from 98 degrees to 45 degrees, it's not a warm, cozy blanket in the nursery of the ocean, and the larvals aren't as concentrated. Okay. So they don't block as immediate as it does in the summer. So you can see more, and it turns into like an emeraldy green instead of this,
brownish, rich
pea green soup gravy green.
There we go. Now, so you talked about your charters, right? That's Spartina, or is it Spartina?
Well, a PhD will say Spartina. Spartina alterniflora is marsh grass.
Okay.
But that's actually not true because they changed the scientific name about 10 years ago.
Okay.
It's Sporobolus alterniflorus now. We're not even.
But you're not renaming your tours to Sporobolus.
No, Sporobolus.
You're good with Spartina. And so when I saw some, and by the way, what's the website to get to your Spartina tours for bookings?
It's SpartinaCharters.com, but this business, I've had it for a decade. I'm doing it by request only.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, and the Sea Turtle Patrol, my nonprofit, has taken all of my full-time.
We're going to go there in a second. Okay, I really, but I guess just because we're here on the May River, right? And I've heard you, and I hear, in the distance, not so far, I'll hear you, and you just get people on board, and you enthusiastically are just talking to people right away about what they're seeing and what they're experiencing. And if you go on your website, then you're showing that you're pulling up a fiddler crab and a blue crab and all that sort of stuff. And I don't know, I guess I just think that's really cool. I just think it's cool that and that's one of the reasons that I just want to have you on the Porchcast, is just I think that has an impact on people. Education has an impact on people, just like you said, because otherwise people just show up and they just sort of make the assumption that it's naturally beautiful without kind of going a little bit deeper.
Yeah, when you live here, you don't get the full value of it unless you know all of these details that are hidden over here. And you have to ask the questions. You can't just look at it and know what I've researched for the past 20 years. It's just a lot of detail. And for 2 hours, I give those details and people listen to me the whole time and they love it.
And you're just dumping knowledge.
Dumping.
Because when you get going, you clearly get passionate and you've got a ton of knowledge that just comes off.
Well, I interject stories in there too. You can't just science it all up because people are going to fall asleep. So you have to give examples of what you're talking about and personal experiences. And
right. When I grew up, I saw this, or we did this, or this is, we're here in the fall and the colors are starting to change a little bit. That grass, it gets that emerald green right in the middle of the summer and then turns. So this is always an evolving ecology, really.
Yeah, you can see the change of seasons right there only. I mean, the water will be a little bit clearer in the winter, but these trees, these maritime forest trees, the 5 that grow next to the water's edge, green year-round. You can never look over here and know what season we're in, but you can look back there and tell for sure.
But also by what's hanging out in the water, right? So sometimes we see manatee, sometimes we see dolphin, but is that year round?
Oh, yeah. No, manatees, not manatees. They can't survive in less than 72 degrees.
Okay.
So they come to visit in the summer. Dolphins are here year round, and the migratory population joins in the summer. So in the summer, you can't come out here without seeing it. They're everywhere.
Right.
But when the water temperature drops to about 70 degrees, they know that the food source is not going to be enough. They leave.
Is it a pod of manatees? Is that the right term? Pod? Family?
That probably.
They call it a trio. I jumped off my dock a couple summers ago. Well, I'm not testing you. Y'all look it up. I jumped off my dock after a run a couple summers ago, jumped in, all was good, came up, all was fine. And I was just floating over to the ladder, looked up, and this head just emerged out of the water. And yeah, it freaked me out pretty good. I was like, oh my God. And then I got out and yelled to my family to come look. And there were 3 of them, right? And no, I wasn't feeding them fresh water. I know people, lesson number 3, don't feed them.
Marine Mammal Protection Act.
Don't feed them with the hose at the dock. Bad news, right? So let's talk about other potentially bad news. This is a common question, maybe just for me, but I think other people, is alligators get into the salt water.
I get this question a lot.
Well,
alligators are freshwater. They live in freshwater bodies. They were concentrated in the Great Swamp. The Great Swamp was a large acreage that was purchased by a developer because it was cheaper.
Sure.
And, we knew this place would be a big draw. So they drained the swamp and they filled it with dirt and they put Sun City on top of it, and the alligators were ejected.
Got it.
We do not have ponds and lagoons naturally in the Lowcountry. They are the same thing, but if you're a real estate agent, you call it a lagoon. If you're just making a retention pond for your water, flooding situation, then it's just a pond.
Okay.
But the alligators were forced into those man-made freshwater bodies.
Got it.
They move around a lot during the mating season. And if you move around in this county, you have to cross water.
Yeah.
It's everywhere, salt water. We are a marine environment. So in order to get from there to there, they're going to have to get in the salt water. They can't stay for too long because they can't get rid of the salt.
Okay.
They would be oversalted.
What's the common, most people say, oh, they go in the salt water to get rid of scale or whatever it is on their scales, but that's not true.
No, I mean, maybe it does that, but they go in there to move locations or to hunt. They eat fish, and there are fish in here. If a pond is too shallow, not maintained, it gets hot here and the dissolved oxygen is depleted and the fish die, and now they don't have food. So they go for things that come for a drink of fresh water, like raccoon,
sure,
small children, dogs.
Yeah.
Staying away from the edge of the pond is critical. That is the most dangerous thing we have here. Forget about sharks. Forget about those things. It's those ponds.
That might be lesson number 4, maybe number 5, where we are so far. Stay away from the ponds, lagoons, whatever we call them. But let's talk about other creatures. Let's go to the East Coast, if you will, and talk about sea turtles. Like, was that when did that become a passion for you?
Well, I graduated from the University of Georgia with a biology degree, which is really vague. Came home, I'm not finding a job. I knew I wanted to do something science-y.
Yeah.
It was vet school at first, but they're so difficult to get in, and calculus killed me. So I started volunteering because I needed something to do other than Outback Steakhouse. And so I volunteered on the beach with Sea Turtle Patrol, and then I got very involved with the scuba shop on Hilton Head. It was on Matthews Drive, Island Scuba Dive and Travel.
Cool.
I became a scuba instructor. They got a boat. I became a boat captain just to drive that particular boat. We took people offshore 16 miles to the Eagle's Nest, which is a wreckage, just to get maybe a 10 to 15 feet of visibility.
That's it, right?
That's it. Isn't that great? Obviously, the boat went out of business in a year. They had to sell this brand new boat. But I got my captain's license, and I always fall back on that. But while I was there one day, I found the anchor to take it off of the wreckage so they could pull it back up, and a sea turtle approached. Yeah. And, it approached. I mean, it was here. I thought it would see me, but their eyes are here. So unless they turn their head.
She checking you out? Like, what are you doing out here?
I guess. I have no idea to this day, never will know. But it got so close that I had to actually fall back to let it swim very gracefully, very slowly over the top of me. And that experience just took me in a different path.
Like a sign of what your next chapter is.
Maybe it chose me. I don't know. But it was the next thing I did was apply to graduate school for marine science in Fort Lauderdale at Nova Southeastern University Oceanographic Center because they managed the sea turtle beach.
Okay.
So I went there for sea turtles.
But then you went out to Maui?
Yeah, after grad school, I went to Maui. My best friend, I met her on the beach on Hilton Head. She was a lifeguard. I was on sea turtle patrol. She said, I want to be a sea turtle patrol. I said, okay, come, let's do your sea turtle patrol. And she moved to Maui. She said, I'll be back in 3 months. She never came back. I said, I'm going to grad school years later. She said, I want to go to grad school. So she came with me to grad school and she said, I'm going back to Hawaii. And I said, I'm going with you.
Yeah.
Why not?
How long were you out there?
2 years, and I drove a dive boat there. I saw some really great things in the Pacific Ocean. I worked with sea turtles out there, and that's what she did. And our paths have just been, parallel, but in a different place.
Yeah. That water's a wee bit clearer out there.
A little bit. Yeah. Colder, much colder, but
it's beautiful. I've only been out there once, but I was in Maui. It was so pretty. I mean, I think the Lowcountry is the most beautiful place in the world, but I got to tell you that I thought Maui was pretty special.
It is. The clear water, of course, being underwater, you take for granted that people have never seen that.
Yeah.
Let's
go back to the sea turtle. So Sea Turtle Patrol, like this is as you said, this is really your full-time focus and gig. What does that entail? Like what does that entail?
Well, I moved back in 2006 and I just did the volunteer thing 2 days a week, go out and see turtle patrol. And when the permit holder moved away, she said, Amber, you're the most qualified for this permit. And so I applied for the permit and I got it, and I've had it since 2013 to be in charge of 20 miles of nesting beach. So at the time, we didn't do Mitchellville Beach or Pine Island and Hilton Head Plantation, but I added those. And we've had almost 40 nests one year between those two beaches.
Wow. Does that mean that you never, those nests occurred, but you weren't monitoring?
They weren't monitoring it.
So we assumed that they were there. They didn't just come because you started monitoring, but now they're more under your purview.
Right. So we do that daily. Starting May 1st, we've got all of Mitchellville, Hickory Forest, Pine Island, and the 14 miles of ocean facing.
So that's ATV? Driving on the beach?
It was ATVs. And when it rained, it was not a fun day.
Right.
And then we got John Deere Gators with no roof, and that also was not a fun day.
And now you get some air conditioning, right? You can kind of cruise down the beach.
Yeah, fundraising. It was a Jeep that was donated. And then we moved to a Tacoma.
Pause on fundraising. Are you actively fundraising?
That is my job now. Okay. I am a professional biologist fundraiser.
So, all right.
Fundraiser.
Well, let's just pause there. So let's just pause there. If people want to contribute to your cause, to your entity, your nonprofit organization, how do they do that? Where do they do that? Most directly.
Yeah, it's not hard to find us. Sea Turtle Patrol, HHI.
Okay.
Sea Turtle Patrol, Hilton Head Island.org. And then you can donate, you can dedicate a nest, it will give you the number and the results and that whole thing. That's coming up for the holidays. Get an ornament and the certificate. You can dedicate it to yourself if you want.
Yeah, or in honor of somebody else, or right. Just you need funds, right? Because you're tied to the town, or maybe not quite, or you.
So we are a town affiliated agency, but that's only been for the last 2 years.
Okay.
So I have been an unpaid volunteer for many, many years. And when we started the 501c3 in 2018, it gave us doors open to apply for funding.
Okay.
ATAX. It allowed us to approach family foundations and civic organizations that give to nonprofits. And that gave us money for a truck, a GPS. The only thing that we don't have is a salary, a full salary, and a building.
Okay.
Now we've got everything we need basically around that.
Is that in the future?
Yes. So with town affiliated status, we can rent a town property for $1 a year. And we have our eye on a property, and we have been working toward getting that memorandum of understanding in place. And it's not official yet, but we're hoping that we'll have somewhere to welcome people in to learn about sea turtles, the beach, everything you need to know about the beach. What are the rules? What are the ordinances? What should I not do on the dune? What should I not take home with me? What should I not leave on the beach, like plastic and chairs and things?
Right.
So that
Plastic water bottles.
in the end, it all helps the sea turtles because they've learned to leave the habitat like they found it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not just a vision. That's a real possibility. This facility, educational, open to the public, etc.
Well, Hilton Head has always been the blueprint of, nature. You come there, you're on an island full of nature. You're trying to conserve it according to Fraser and Sea Pines, the development. But we've moved away from it and we're trying to get back to it. And we are lacking in some regard, even with Tybee leading the way with the Marine Science Center and Hilton Head not having one.
So filling the need, catching up, and sort of serving what the initial message of this area really was, at least according to Charles.
Well, Hilton Head's put a lot into getting back to that.
Yeah.
So there are remnants of it, like no billboards, no neon signs, no unnecessary street lights. And people are telling me, damn turtles, all the streets are dark. I'm like, turtles don't nest on the pavement. It has nothing to do with turtles. It's all about the environment.
Lesson number 7, maybe where we are, is turn your ocean-facing lights.
Ocean-facing beach, if you're on the beach.
In the summertime.
Right. May through October. Turn those lights off. Well, the ordinance states that they have to be downward facing and shielded. So you don't have to live in the dark. You just have to be...
We don't want a spotlight facing out, right?
And
lest the sea turtle thinks that's the moon or something. Is this what?
No, it's just artificial light. They don't think it's the moon, but for some reason, and we don't know why yet, even if there's a bright moon reflecting on water, they're going to go to artificial light, the hatchlings, not the adults, to the hatchlings. And that is a problem, a big problem.
Was this any kind of record year for hatchlings on Hilton Head? Or
No. Our record year, we had 463 nests, and it was after 2 low years because of a snow event. When we have a snow event, which we had one at the beginning of the year, when the sea turtles come, they might not be robust enough to nest. So they're going to need to be very fattened up to be able to lay 4 to 6 nests in a season with 120 eggs in each. And if the microscopic content was depleted in that winter when the temperatures drop below what they should be, you're not going to have as many whelk, not as many crab, not as much food source that they eat. So they're going to say, you know what, instead of skipping 2 years, I'm going to skip 3. And then they'll come back next year. And it'll be like the last time it snowed where we had 463 nests on the 3rd year.
Okay. So you're thinking 2026 or 2027?
Next year, 2026, it'll be a big one.
A bigger year. Do you, I know you've got volunteers, et cetera, but do you have a program where people can go out and monitor or ride with you, ride along? Or are there any programs like that where there's sort of outreach and people can observe hatchlings? And
it's hard to do that when you operate out of a tent in a parking lot.
Oh. So that's a TBD.
Well, we started it this year. We started with the Tiki Hut doing a public service thing where we take people give them a little turtle information, take them on the beach, pick up trash, show them a nest, walk back, and they can feel like they participated. Yeah. We tell them, make sure to do, A, B, and C. I also give a public turtle talk every Monday night in June, July, and August. All of this is free of charge. And it's an hour long, 8 to 9 p.m. at Celebration Park. Jumbotron, microphone, full turtle talk. So,
what's the attendance been like on those?
We'll have between 100 and 200 people come to the park.
Good for you.
And for the new beach walk, it'll be 40 people. Yeah. So we're working on that. And trying to offer more, but when you're limited in your facility and what you can...
Well, you're building all that, right? The resources will come. I guess once that flywheel keeps going faster, I think more will come. You'll get some great donations from folks looking here. So let's talk about this summer was a summer of beach renourishment. Mm-hmm. What's that do? I mean, I know it was in the summertime, which was really an interesting time period. So what does that do for the sea turtles?
So beach renourishment on Hilton Head happens every 8 to 10 years. The last one I did was 2017 after Irma, and I also did 2016 during Matthew. And there was a 2012 before that in Port Royal. So I've had a lot of experience with beach renourishments. It's a large project. You're pumping sand from offshore to rebuild the beach, bulldozers, slurry. There's a lot that goes into it. But if it's during any of the months, May through October, there is the potential that a sea turtle could emerge from the ocean and lay a nest. And it's only happened once in all of those renourishment.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It came out, we stopped the construction, it nested right next to a bulldozer, and we moved it out. The eggs, we moved them, and then they could continue. So it can happen once. It happened before the renourishment started. We moved all of the nests initially and out to areas that were not getting renourished. So,
but is it a safe guess, and maybe your experience is that the turtles would probably avoid those areas just because it's too much going on?
Noise, vibration, lights, the nesting turtles, yes.
And so when is that project done?
So it's going to go through March, April, possibly into May of next year.
It is?
Mm-hmm. It's a $48 million project.
Million. Okay. And you said that you've done, what are you involved in monitoring that from the perspective of the sea turtles?
Right. So sea turtles nest at night because they're reptiles and they can't come out during the day. They'd overheat in the 2 hours it would take to nest. So that's why they come out at night, not because it's dark, but because the temperature is right.
Sure.
So the construction goes on 24 hours a day.
Right.
So at night, we're up every hour on the hour while they're pumping, checking for emergencies of sea turtles. So, in another 10 years, I might not be able to stay up all night. But right now, it was delayed. So it was just 2 months. Yeah. September and October, we'll be done in a couple weeks with that.
So you'll be off duty.
I'll be off duty and they will continue.
What do you do in your off season?
Well, all season is becoming less and less off with a nonprofit where you have to fundraise. So there's desk jockey, a lot of it. It's not what I went to school for, but it's what you need to keep a program moving forward. And so I've learned a lot about fundraising and working with municipalities and trying to find creative ways to involve conservation in tourism for Hilton Head.
What do you do in your off time?
There was that question again. I'm like, what is that? I don't even. Yeah, no. Well,
progressive.
For me, it's just recovery. It's 3 months of recovery. I have been to Costa Rica several times with Carlos Chacon and his group.
Good.
And
so you sort of get off the rock, like you might.
Yeah, travel a little bit, whatever I can afford. The Sea Turtle Symposium is in Kona this year, the International Sea Turtle Conference. So I'm going to be there for that. That will be my vacation, my turtle conference.
Sounds like a vacation.
It can be.
When you live your passion, you're always doing that, right?
I'm always doing it. A lot of times I catch up on things around the house that I didn't get to do while I was working hours and hours during the season. So, boat maintenance, sea turtle programs, there's still school going on and we do school programs. Yeah. We still do civic organization presentations. So, there's a lot to do even in the off season.
And is it you and how many other people in that organization?
I have 24 volunteers. Of course, we have a board and we have a staff there. And then there's 50 auxiliary members, which we added 2 years ago. And they help with the outreach. So we were at the Crescendo Festival. We were, all of the town big events that we can insert that information, that awareness. We're there and nobody gets paid for that.
Well, as with so many great things that happen here in the Lowcountry, it is volunteer-based. It's out of passion. It's out of appreciation for what this special place is. And I'm just grateful to have the chance to talk to you about it and get to know a little bit more. I think that our Revisit Porchcast is going to be in your future facility. Okay. I'm imagining some beautiful front porch where we can celebrate what you've achieved and where you've come and how people can continue to help you.
Absolutely.
How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Okay. Thanks for being here with us.
Thank you.
Talk to you guys soon.